Welcome to the Bourbon Jerk. Thanks for the click. Let's face it, there are a ton of whiskeys on the market right now. Do you ever wonder which ones are overrated? How about which ones might actually be underrated? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on both, and perhaps this might save you from some buyer's remorse somewhere down the line. First, Henry McKenna 10-year. To me, this one's overrated. About 5 years ago, I probably would have said this was underrated. Then it won some sort of World Spirits competition, and since then it's been a completely different story. In my state, it became a lot harder to find, and the price actually doubled. I've had it on several different occasions, and since it's a single barrel product, of course, it varies a little bit from barrel to barrel. However, with McKenna, it varies a lot. And the last few that I had were really just not that great. Next, Larceny Barrel Proof and Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof. These are underrated in my opinion. To me, these are kind of like the gold standard for barrel-proof bourbons from legacy distilleries that are actually findable and priced between $60 and $70. Next, Blood Oath. To me, these are overrated. They're put out once a year by Lux Row. They're always a different blend and a different finish. The common denominator for each batch is the proof, which is always 98.6, the temperature of blood. These are packaged in a fancy wooden box, and the prices have gotten to be outrageous. The batches, or packs as they call them, that I've tried were average to slightly above average, but definitely not worth the price tag. You might say, they're too rich for my blood? Next, Nashville Barrel Company. I'm going to say these are underrated. They're an NDP, a non-distilling producer. They select their barrels from Indiana and Kentucky, and then they age them at their facility in Nashville. This process doesn't sound overly complicated, but it certainly seems to be working. Got a handful of picks, and all of them are exceptional. Speaking of underrated, today's sponsor is Into the AM, and I think they've cracked the code for the perfect t-shirt. To me, they're super soft, they're comfortable, they're stylish. You can get them in crew neck, V-neck, all kinds of colors, with the logo, without the logo. They're super comfortable. I've got a ton of them. Here's what you want to do. Click on the link in the description below. When you find what you like and go to checkout, use code JERKY. That'll save you an extra 10% off your order, and you'll be helping to support the channel. Next, it's Weller Antique 107. I'll probably catch a little heat for this, but I'm going to say it's overrated. I know there's a fair amount of folks out there that just go bonkers for this, but personally, I just don't like it that much. There's an odd note on the finish that's sort of sharp and bitter, and it just kind of ruins it for me. Next, Blanton's. Now I'm guilty of chasing Blanton's when I first started getting into bourbon. Yep, I collected all the horsey toppers and sent away to Buffalo Trace to mount them to the barrel stave for me, which admittedly it's actually a pretty cool promo. However, the bourbon itself is not exceptional. It's a fairly standard 90-ish proof wheater, but people still scoop these up at double and triple MSRP and then post them online like they just discovered the Ark of the Covenant. It's overrated. In fact, it's probably the most overrated bourbon. Wilderness Trail. Specifically, their wheated bourbons. These are underrated. The Bottled and Bond, well, that's your Blanton's killer. And the single barrel picks, at least the ones that I've tried, are both better than Weller Antique 107. Knob Creek 15 and Elijah Craig 18. Definitely a fan of both of these brands, and I buy plenty of their bottles. But these are two that I won't buy. They're overrated. The KC 15, it just has an off flavor to me. Maybe it's too much oak, I'm not quite sure. The Elijah Craig 18, on the other hand, it has a nice subtle flavor profile, but it's 90 proof and over $200. When I crack an Elijah Craig, I want a bold, full-flavored experience, and this one just does not deliver that. Wait, are you subscribed to the channel yet? The stats say that 90% of our viewers haven't subscribed to the channel yet. So if you like whiskey content, go ahead and click that subscribe button right there. It really helps us out. Thanks. Knob Creek single barrel picks. Underrated. And these are all over the place too. You're getting a 120 proof, 9-ish-year-old bourbon for around $65. That's an excellent value, especially when you compare it directly to something like, say, Booker's, which is also from Jim Beam. Whistle Pig Rise. To me, these are overrated. I think they try to rope you in with the high age statements, ranging from 10 to 18 years, and the claim that they use the best barrels in Vermont, and then they charge a hefty premium. Now, I've tried a number of the ryes, and to me, they just don't taste like a premium product. New Riff ryes, Sagamore ryes. These are underrated. Honestly, take your pick from anything that either of these places put out. They've got super solid products in their respective core ranges that are widely available and at very reasonable price points. They've also got finished ryes and some limited products that you can chase if you want to go a little bit deeper down that rabbit hole. Next, RD1 Ambera. I bought this one last summer as soon as it hit my state, and as you can see, I haven't really put much of a dent in it. I think this has less to do with RD1 than it does with Ambera itself. Ambera finish is really polarizing. First tried it last year when I bought an ASW Fiddler. Now Ambera imparts a very discernible smell and taste that you could describe as a Cinnamon Toast Crunch or a liquid churro, which at first is unique and delicious, but it's got diminishing returns. Completely overpowers the whiskey, your glass, your palate, and whatever else. I'm now to the point where I just steer clear of Ambera altogether. I will say this. If you are itching to try an Ambera finish whiskey, this is actually a pretty good place to start because this one's got about the least amount of Ambera influence of any of the other ones that I've tried. Next, Barrel Craft Spirits. I'm going to say these are underrated. They're another NDP, non-distilling producer. These guys source and blend better than just about anybody else out there. If you look closely at their portfolio, you start to realize just how many outstanding products they've got out there. Their batch bourbons that they put out are always highly rated. They're not hard to find. My favorite barrel products are their finished whiskeys. Seagrass, Vantage, Dovetail. They're all delicious and completely different than anything else on the market. So there you have some of my insight on what's overrated and underrated. You think my opinions are overrated or underrated? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Cheers. Stay jerky.